Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the board meeting of the Structural Pest Control Board. This meeting is being held on March 12th, 2025, and the time is 9:39. We will now establish a quorum. Sophia, can you please do a roll call?
Aaron, I don't know, somebody is. Now I do have access. Are you there, Aaron?
Is he not able to hear us?
Can,
Yeah.
can you hold on? Now I have BCA on the line.
Can,
Can you hold on for a minute, Aaron? Okay.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, do you think our reception has been cleared up? I mean, our issue?
yes, we can hear you and we can see you as well. Can you hear us?
I can hear you, but I can't, let's see. I can hear you, but I can't see you. Okay, just a second. I have OAH on the line right now. They may recommend that I call in, but if we can have the complete reception, maybe we should proceed. Just a second. Aaron, are you there? Okay, I think they can hear.
Does he need to see it?
Okay. Okay, I'll proceed with them if that works. And you sent some instructions for calling in or something, you said?
Right. Yeah.
Tell you what, if I can't get through, I'll call you back. If you don't hear from me, that means the problem was resolved. Okay, thanks, Aaron. You're at the main number, right? Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Bye. Hi, I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you and we can also see you. Are you able to hear us?
Uh, Can hear you. I can't see you, but there's
Okay,
Victoria.
if you're comfortable moving forward with just hearing us, we can hear you and see you.
Fine.
Are you comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay, great. We'll move on and please make us aware if you have any other technical difficulties, but for the time being, we'll move on with agenda item number 2 with the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I jumped the gun here. So sorry, going back, Sophia, can you please do a roll call?
Yes. President Anderson,
Here.
Vice President Finley,
Here.
Board Member Tingen,
Here.
Board Member Paxson,
Here.
Board Member Mendenhall,
Here.
and Board Member Bindal.
Present.
Thank you.
Everyone present. We have a quorum.
With the quorum established, we will now move on to our next agenda item number 2, the Pledge of Allegiance. You can all join me.
Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everything we would say through that phone calls and that stuff.
Okay, Your Honor, I just wanted to make you aware that your microphone is live, and so anything that you say, we can hear. So just wanted to make you aware that we're going to keep your microphone open, but any phone calls or any discussions, we will be able to hear.
Thank you very much. Are you Victoria?
No, I am Yesenia Anderson, the president of the Structural Pest Control Board.
Okay. Okay, I think we can proceed. I can hear you and I can see some of you, it looks like. But yeah, we could certainly, I could feel comfortable proceeding this way.
Okay, thank you very much. Agenda items 3 and 4 are petitions for reinstatement. The purpose of these hearings are for the board to consider these petitions for reinstatement. I will now turn the meeting over to our administrative law judge to begin the hearings.
Okay, thank you. We are here today to review the petition for reinstatement of Aaron J. Essert. This matter is being heard remotely before the Structural Pest Control Board by a video conference proceeding. This matter bears Office of Administrative Hearings, case number 2025-020-398. My name is Wilbert Bennett. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I've been assigned to preside over this matter. Before we proceed, I would like to, can you hear me still?
Yes, we can still hear you.
I just wanted to be sure. Okay, before we proceed, I would like to check with our court reporter. And I'd like her to identify herself on the record with her CSR number.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Paula C. Chavez, certified shorthand reporter, license number 7943.
7943. And Madam Court Reporter, at the end of the proceeding, can you give us an estimated number of pages and an ending time for the hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Chavez. Again, the members of the board have identified themselves for the record, and a quorum of the board is present. May I take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General?
Good morning, Your Honor. Deputy Attorney General Stephanie Lee, on behalf of the Office of the Attorney General, appearing pursuant to Government Code Section 11522.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. And the petitioner, Aaron J. Essert, are you here? Mr. Essert?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Can you
Before,
see me?
yeah, Mr. Essert, you please let us know if for any reason you cannot hear us.
Yes,
I
Your
know
Honor.
you can't, I don't know if you can see me, but
I can't see you, Your Honor. I can see other people though.
okay. Before we proceed, Mr. Essert, I just wanted to explain the procedures to you in this matter. And this is our customary practice. The Deputy Attorney General will proceed first to present the petition and provide a background orientation in this matter. After that, you will have the opportunity and the right to make a presentation under oath on your own behalf to explain why you believe that your license should be reinstated. The petitioner, that's you, may also call witnesses to testify on his behalf. You and any witnesses will be subject to questioning by both the board members and the Deputy Attorney General. The board is particularly concerned with any rehabilitation that you may have engaged in since your license discipline. The petitioner, that's you, is reminded that the board has had the benefit of reading the petition package. You do not have to repeat anything that is included in that package. After the hearing, after your hearing, the board will go into closed session to deliberate. There's another matter also that the board will hear later. But you will not receive a decision today, but you will receive it in mail sometime in the future. Do you have any questions up to this point?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, at this point, I will turn the matter over to the Deputy Attorney General for presentation of the petition package. Ms. Lee, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The first matter before the board is a petition for reinstatement of Mr. Estard's license RA 52425 in branches 2 and 3. Beginning with the procedural history of this petition, Mr. Estard was first issued this license in August of 2011 and granted on a 5-year probationary basis, pursuant to a stipulation that had listed 12 prior convictions. That license was subject to disciplinary action in 2013, when the board filed an accusation and a petition to revoke probation in case number 2013-45. The basis of that accusation was that Mr. Estard had sustained a conviction in 2012 after the granting of his license for simple possession of heroin. After that accusation case was filed, the board revoked Mr. Estard's license pursuant to a default decision effective September 14, 2013. There was cost recovery associated with that case in the amount of $3,730. And if a license were to be reinstated after this hearing, the board should include that outstanding cost recovery in any newly reissued license. Mr. Estard also filed and had heard a prior petition for reinstatement in 2017. That decision was denied in 2018. Your Honor, at this time, we'll introduce the exhibit book, which has been marked collectively as Exhibit 1. It consists of the jurisdictional documents for this hearing, including the board's letter confirming the hearing date and the petitioner's confirmation of hearing. It includes Mr. Estard's entire petition and supporting documents, including his petition declaration, his live scan request that was completed, and mitigating evidence that he submitted, including a letter from himself, a letter from Frank C. Abbott, A-B-B-O-T-T Jr., a letter from Matthew Baer, B-A-E-R-E, M.D., a letter from Michelle Middlecoff, M-I-D-D-L-E-K-U-F-F, and a number of AA attendance forms dated 2023 and 2024. It also includes the first and prior petition for reinstatement Mr. Estard had submitted in 2017, as well as a decision from that prior petition effective 2018. It also includes prior rehabilitation evidence that Mr. Estard had submitted for that prior petition. The exhibit book also includes the original stipulation for the probationary license that was issued. It also includes a number of criminal case records, and these criminal case records are all dated after the decision on the first petition for reinstatement. So it includes the court records for Kern County case number BM 928108A for a 2019 conviction of Health and Safety Code 11350A. It includes the related incident report. It also includes the court records for 2 post-release community supervision violations dated in 2019 and 2020. It includes the court records for Kern County Superior Court case number BM 953-299A for a 2024 conviction of Health and Safety Code 11377A, which was possession of methamphetamine, as well as section 11364, which is possession of drug paraphernalia, and the related incident report from September 19, 2020. It also includes the court records for Kern County case number BF19005-1A. This relates to a conviction from the same date as the previous one, May 10th, 2024, for Health and Safety Code sections 11377 and 222, Penal Code section 22210, which is a possession of a billy club. It also includes the related incident report to that conviction, which is dated May 1st, 2022. And finally, the exhibit book also includes a certification of Mr. Essert's license history for RA 52425.
Okay, Ms. Lee, does that conclude your presentation?
It does, Your Honor, subject to examination of Mr. Essert. Thank you.
Mr. Esser, do you have any objection to the introduction of the petition package into evidence?
Um, um, no, the only thing that I have, I noticed that it says something about a case that was in 2024, but actually that case was in 2022. I didn't take care of it until the year of 2024 when when I got my head together straight. That's when I went back to court and took care of it, but it wasn't in 2024. That was in 2023, I believe. That
Okay,
one.
but the conviction date or the year of the conviction was 2024, correct?
Yeah, that's when I took care. That's when I took care of it.
Okay, you just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you have no objection to the introduction of the petition package into evidence?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. At this point, are you ready to make your presentation?
Yeah, I sure. I guess I am.
Okay, before you proceed, I'd like to, since you're not represented by counsel particularly, I want to give you just a sort of a roadmap on this. This is your opportunity to present your case. You may testify on your own behalf. You are reminded that the board has had the benefit of your petition package, so there is no need to repeat anything in that package.
Okay.
Before you proceed, I am going to swear you in as a witness. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that your testimony at this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Esser, do you have any additional documents you would like to present?
No, I kind of came up with, I don't know, I don't have any more documents.
You do not. Okay, do you have any witnesses you would like to call to testify on your behalf?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so you are prepared to proceed with your testimony, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, please proceed with your testimony however you see fit, keeping in mind that the board does have a file in this matter, so you don't need to repeat
Okay.
what may be in that petition package. So
Okay.
please proceed however you choose to make your presentation, focusing on the fact that the purpose of this hearing is not to relitigate matters already determined, but to determine whether you have been rehabilitated from the matters that resulted in your disciplinary action. So please proceed.
Okay. Wow. This is tough. It's crazy because I basically do this every single day. I'm a part of the AA family, and one of the things that we do, I guess, is give our testimony every single day. And I know at this point that the last case that I got was in 2023. I guess if it's okay that I can just be brutally honest, what happened. My testimony is, I don't know how it's going to make me look, but it's just kind of what happened to me. Um, it started with in 2023. I had gotten addicted to fentanyl pretty bad, and if you look around this day, this fentanyl is just taking over this whole country, and it got a hold of me, and I'm not proud of it, but it's something that I've been through and something that I have victory over today. And what had happened was the last time that I had used and what put me on the road to recovery was I had woken up in the office. Sometimes I would go in the office of my house and I would go in there and read and do things that I wasn't supposed to do. Well, I decided to go in there and take the last of the fentanyl that I had. And I woke up to my 19-year-old daughter and my wife and EMT standing over me. And I had an overdose. And that scared me. I I realized at that moment and that time that I didn't have a rock bottom. You know, a lot of people talk about having a rock bottom, and I knew that that rock bottom for me was through that grave. It was the only way out. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how I was going to do. I knew at that time that I had lost my family. There was no hiding it anymore. There was nothing that I could do. So the only thing that I did was I laid in bed for a couple weeks, really sick, really sick. I'd never been through something like that before in my life. And I started going to meetings. I started going these AA meetings. There was one down the street from me, and I just started going every single day. And while I was going, I was trying to get into some kind of program that would take me. I was trying to get into Teen Challenge at the time. I was trying to get into Freedom House at the time. Any kind of program that can take me away for a year and get my head straight. Um, Before, when I had gotten out of prison, I had 2.5 years clean, I think it was. And I thought that I was going to be okay. I thought that I would just come back to the streets and, you know, start doing pest control and everything and be fine, just get my life back in order. And the reason you guys had denied me the last time, and it always stuck with me, and the words were, you guys didn't feel like I was active enough in my recovery. I didn't know what that meant. Honestly, at that time, I didn't know what that meant. It's like, well, what do you mean by that? I've been clean for 2.5 years. Um, I went to a 6-month program. I thought that that's what recovery was going and getting healed and coming back. Well, that wasn't the case, and you guys were absolutely right to not have given me my license the last time. And now I see that because now that I'm involved with recovery, it is 24/7. I literally have to chase my recovery like I did my addiction. And it just came to the point, you know, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I hear it, and now here I am. Fast forward a little bit. Not only am I a member of AA, I've worked the 12 steps. I live the 12 steps. I have a sponsor. I have sponsees. I have 3 different men underneath me that that I work with now in recovery, and I think that's the biggest part of recovery is giving away so freely what's been given to me. You know. So today, if you notice in my paperwork, all the meetings that I go to, that's just some of them. That just there's a lot of them that I didn't write down that I wasn't keeping track of. Those are just the ones that I happened to write down on my calendar that I kept note of, and I put those on the paper for you. But during the week right now, I would say I would do 5 to 10 meetings, even to this day, every single week. When things get tougher, I do more meetings, you know. I'm always of service. And what you don't see in between those meetings is the time that I put in helping other people. Not only that is recovery my life now, but I'm also on the right medication. The medication I take is called Brixadi, and it's a shot that you take once a month in your stomach for opioid withdrawal. I've been taking that for, I want to say maybe close to a year now. And that's been really beneficial in my life. And it's something that I have to even consider taking for the rest of my life, you know. And so I'm on the right medication. I am on the right path. I not only am I a part of AA, but I'm a part of the Kiwanis Club. And I was just reading the pamphlet that you guys sent me, and it shows some of the cases that I have. And I was reading, you know, some of the judges that had sentenced me, and it's crazy because the same judge that sentenced me is now the person that I sit next to in the Kiwanis Club, and this week I'm actually going to his retirement party, Judge Bush. And I'm actually got invited to his retirement party. It's just a number of things that I'm involved with today. Not just recovery, but I surround myself with friends that challenge me, not friends that just accept me for who I am. And I think that's a big part of it is putting myself in the herd of those people. Um, yeah. So today, right now, what I'm doing is. My dad had sold Stop Pest Control about 5 years ago, and my brother about a year and a half ago. He maintained part of the company out in San Luis Obispo, but I'm here in Kern County, and he kept on getting so much business here in Kern County. And after he seen that I had about a year and a half, about year 6 months clean, he called me up and said, "Hey," he goes, "You still wanting to do pest control?" And I was just like, I've always wanted to do pest control. This is just something I've been born into. I've been doing pest control my whole life. Um, I have 2 years, 8 months, 10 days clean today. It's been a rough road, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. My worst day sober was better than my best day out there in my addiction, that's for sure. Now not only am I working for my brother's pest control company, but I'm also part owner of it now. My sister owns part of the company, and my dad is back into the business again. And so here I am doing pest control, and everything in my life as far as addressing it. I've taken care of all of my court stuff. I've taken care of all my work release, paid my fines. Um, I don't know if this matters much, but it matters a bunch to me. But I've even paid off my credit card debts. I mean, just everything that I'm doing today is just, I feel like I am a productive member of society, and I wouldn't change. And you know, and usually right now that being before a judge is not a good thing for me. But today I'm standing before you men and women in front of a different kind of judge for something that I'm doing good in my life. And I'll do whatever it takes to get that license back, even if it has to be the applicators for 2 to 5 years. Whatever it takes, I'm willing to do it. It doesn't matter. Everything that I've already been through is set me up for this moment, I guess you can say. And I'm ready to. I'm managing this company now 100%, but that I'm so limited to what I can do, you know. And this is just the next step, and hopefully another victory in my life, and hopefully to be another part of my testimony. But I think that's about all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Esser. Does the Deputy Attorney General have questions?
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Esser.
Good morning.
Okay, so you mentioned you have one daughter. How old is she?
Excuse me?
How old is your daughter?
My daughter's 20 years old now. No,
Has
she's just
the other-
21. I'm sorry, 21.
Do you have any other children?
Yes, I have a son, and he is 14 and is getting ready to start high school next year.
Do you provide financial support for anyone other than yourself?
Just my wife and my kids.
And are you mentioned that you are currently employed with Stop Pest Control, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What percentage of the company do you own now?
10% at the moment.
And besides your family members, is there anybody who's non-family that owns a part of that company?
Nope, it's just my family.
So does your brother own the majority of the company at this point?
My brother just actually gave my dad the majority part of it. So I think what it is now is my dad is 50, my brother is 30, I'm 10, and my sister is 10.
And you said that you manage at the company, but you're limited in what you can do. Can you tell us what some of your day-to-day duties are?
Well, what basically just I'm managing the company. I set up all the scheduling. I take care of I have the phone, so I'm taking all the new phone calls. Um, I help train. I have one guy that's working underneath me, and he's my nephew Ryan, and so I put him in a position now. He's out there. He's out there running the route right now as we speak, and I'm just handling. There's so much behind the scenes that I do, but there's a lot of things that I can't do. I can't get out there and apply myself and help him out. All I can do is kind of follow him around during the day and help him out and kind of give him the right advice what to do, so.
And after you, if the board were to reinstate your applicator's license, do you have any further plans in the future?
Yeah, eventually would like to get my branch 2 again, and then my operators.
You actually had prior to the one that you were asking to have reinstated, you've actually
Miss
been.
Lee, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but are you able to increase your microphone volume?
Me?
No, sorry, Miss Lee.
Okay.
And can I ask, is that Victoria who's speaking? Victoria
No.
Caesar?
This is Yesenia Anderson.
Please let her know that my name on it because I have to sign in. So
Okay,
she-
so when whoever
Oh, okay. So
whoever
this is,
speaks from
it's
that room, can they identify themselves before they speak? Because it's just a little thumbnail on my screen and I can't see anybody in particular, so I have no idea of who's speaking.
yes, we'll do. This is Yesenia Anderson.
Thank you.
Miss Lee, are you able to increase your volume or speak directly into the mic so that we can hear you a bit better?
Yes, Ms. Anderson. So I think I don't know how to increase my volume, so I'll try to speak louder. Is that a little bit better, President Anderson?
Yes, that's much better. Thank you so much.
So where was I? Mr. Esther, you were actually licensed as an applicator even before 2011. Is that right? Since as early as 2000?
I had my applicator's license.
As early as 2000, is that right?
I believe so. I'm not really sure.
Okay, and
Yeah,
some of those earlier licenses were just canceled due to non-renewal.
I'm sorry, I can barely hear you. Can you say that again?
Some of those earlier licenses you had canceled just as non-renewal.
Okay.
Is that right?
Is it non-renewed? Is that what you're asking?
I'm just talking about your earlier licenses before this one, the one that we're talking about now. You had 2 earlier licenses, right?
Yeah, it was just time lapse.
Time lapse, okay.
Yeah.
And in terms of continuing education, have you done any continuing education in your field recently?
As far as education and pest control, or
Yes.
no, I just been studying for my branch 2 again, just making sure that, if I get the opportunity that I'll be able to take the test in the future. But no, ma'am.
Okay, I want to go over some of the convictions that had happened since your first petition. I just want to ask you some follow-up questions. So you had 2, so you were on PRCS, right? Post-release community supervision. Is that right?
I'm not sure what that means exactly.
So you were like on PRCS is like a form of, it's like parole for non-violent, non-serious offenders. Is that right?
Okay, yes.
Okay. So you had one conviction in 2019 that was for simple possession, right?
Hmm.
And then in 2019, you had, in 2018, sorry, scratch that. In 2019, you had a PRC, a parole violation, where you served 90 days. And then in 2020, you also had a second parole violation where you served 180 days. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened in either of those incidents? What was the basis of the violations?
I think it was a dirty drug test at the time. That's been a while, but that would have been why.
For both violations?
Yeah, as far as I honestly, that's so far back, I can't even really remember. I know that I violated because I had a dirty drug test and wasn't showing up to
Wasn't
my,
showing up for your parole visits?
yes.
Okay. Okay, so now I want to talk about 2024. You had clarified that the convictions that happened in 2024, right? But the incidents that happened before that. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so you have two separate convictions in 2024. One is from a 2020 incident and one is from a 2022 incident. Does that sound about
Yes.
right to you?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
Okay, so the last criminal incident that you got arrested for was in 2022. That's the last one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and do you have any, since then, do you have any other criminal arrests, incidents, contacts with law enforcement, anything that's pending?
I'm happy to say no.
Okay. Now, when you resolved your 2020 and 2022 cases in 2024, you were placed on a year of probation. Is that right?
No, they didn't even put me on probation. They gave me a work release and a fine, and I went and did the work release and the fine. So I'm no longer on any probation.
Okay. Your the records that were included in that packet that we sent you, they indicate that you're on informal probation for 1 year since the May 2024 conviction.
Okay.
Does that refresh your memory at all? It does
Um,
also mention the work release.
okay, it does mention the work release.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't think that I'm on maybe a formal probation, but I know that I don't have a probation officer or anything like that anymore.
Right. So it looks like you were sentenced to court or informal probation for 1 year. Does
Okay.
that sound about right to
Yeah, that
your
maybe
memory?
that sounds about right.
Okay. So that means that you don't have a probation officer monitoring you at this time. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. What that
Yeah.
means is if I were to pick up a case within that year, they can give me the maximum of a sentence. It's kind of like it's a court probation, you know. It's not, you don't have to, there's no check-ins with probation or anything like that. I served and finished all that part of it.
Great. And a part of your sentencing from the May 2024 convictions, it says that you were supposed to do 60 NA meetings. Did you complete that term?
Oh yeah, plus hundreds.
Okay. And have you made any attempts to expunge any of your convictions? Either the
That's
ones that we've talked
I had
sorry,
just
sorry,
talked.
Wait a minute,
Okay, sorry.
sir. I need you to let her finish the question before you start answering.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Miss Lee, can you restate your question, please?
Sure. Have you made any attempt to expunge any of your convictions, either the ones that we've talked about now or your prior ones?
I'm actually in a position to start doing that. I had talked to my public defender about 6 months ago, and she just told me just give it a little bit more time and then to contact her again, and we can start working on expunging my record. Yeah, so that's one of my next big steps.
So now I want to move on and ask you a little bit about your sobriety, your path to sobriety. Do you have a sobriety date as of today?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
July 1st, 2022.
So that looks like it was about a couple months after your last arrest. Does that sound
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yeah, it's about 2 months after my last arrest.
And did that coincide with the event that you were talking about where you woke up to an EMT in your house?
Yes, ma'am.
So since that date, you've provided information that you've been attending AA meetings all of 2023 and 2024. Is that right?
Yes.
And does AA help you? Like, I don't know if there's a distinction for you between attending NA meetings versus AA meetings.
Well, in the beginning, I was doing both meetings, and I found that when I was going to the NA meetings, there was just like a lot of people there that I felt like they were just trying to get like their court cards signed. There was a lot of people that didn't really have that much time in recovery. And it wasn't serious enough for me. So when I kind of started attending the AA meetings, it was more on the spiritual side, on my Christian beliefs and everything, and it was able to follow those steps a little bit better than the NA ones.
Okay. In your last petition hearing, you had described yourself as a polysubstance abuser. Was that, were you also, do you also have an addiction dependence to alcohol?
I've never really been addicted to alcohol before. Um, Pretty much everything, but if they say in AA, liquid or high, it liquid or dry, it all gets you high. So that's the kind of way that we look at it in there.
And do you find that the AA counseling that you receive and the support that you receive from AA, does that transfer over to your own addiction, dependence and controlled substances?
Absolutely. That's the cool thing about when you're going in there and you're finding a sponsor, you want to kind of find a sponsor that's been through some of the same things that you have, somebody that you relate with. And me being in there and my testimony, when I share my testimony, it also relates to a lot of people that are in there for the same reasons that I do. So it's funny because I get phone calls and text messages all the time. Hey, Aaron, can you help with this kid? He had the same problems, the same addictions with you. Can you reach out to him? So that's the kind of stuff that I'm doing today.
I have a couple of clarification questions from the records you provided. So give me 1 second. So there was a letter submitted by Frank C. Abbott, A-B-B-O-T. He actually submitted 2 letters. Do you know him through your work at the Kiwanis Club?
Well, he started going to the AA classes that I was going to, and then come to find out that he was the president of the Kiwana clubs, and he had invited me to one of the Kiwana meetings, and so now I go over there. Sometimes I get up and speak in front of the men too, and but we're helping out kids and stuff. What the Kiwanis are doing is it's amazing what they're helping the kids do here in Kern County. We just like to recognize, the progress that they're doing in school, especially around here where I live.
When you say that you speak in front of the men, what demographic are you speaking to, and what are you sharing with them?
Well, it just so happened that after about the third meeting that I was there, that see, they usually have scheduled speakers that come in, and the third meeting I was there, Mr. Frank Abbott asked me. Hey, well, you're the guest speaker today, and I was like, well, what do you want me to talk about? And he said, tell the Kiwanis what you're doing in your life. Tell them a little bit about the business that you're starting, and so I just kind of talked to him about pest control and the safety of it, and what I'm trying to do in my life.
And what are the ages of the folks that you're talking to?
What are the agents?
What are their ages? How old are they?
Oh, the kids are all, it's all junior high kids that we're helping.
One of the things in Mr. Abbott's letter says that you've been helping generate scholarships. Can you tell us a little
Yes.
bit more about that? Through
Yeah.
Kiwanis.
So what happens is, in the Kiwanis, what we have, the Kiwanis like to recognize usually every other week. So I go every Wednesday at noon for that. And every other week we have about 2 to 6 students that come in that have been outstanding at their schools, you know, in the school district that we support around here. And they kind of come in and they talk about what they're doing in school, and we ask them questions about what they're doing as far as their future, what kind of colleges they want to go to and stuff. And then we present them with a plaque, and we have their teachers come up and talk about them. And then the students will talk about themselves for a little bit. And then, yeah, so we give them grants and cards, certain kind of cards like Visa cards and stuff like that, just to encourage these kids to keep doing the things that they're doing to stay on the right path.
Okay. There was a letter from a Dr. Bear, Matthew Bear.
Mhm.
Is that the current doctor that's treating you with the opioid dependence shots?
Yes, he's my doctor, the one that's administering the shot for me.
Okay. And are you currently still receiving those injections?
Every month, yes, ma'am.
There was a letter that you included from Groups Recover Together.
Mhm.
It's dated 2024. Are you currently in any kind of treatment program?
That's what I was in groups for quite some time. This is before I went to Dr. Bear. So the groups was part of it's kind of I guess an outpatient program. And weekly we would do like Zoom videos like this, and we would talk about our recovery. And at the time, it was a Suboxone program, and that's the kind of medicine that I had started taking at first. Then for some reason, the funding of that program stopped in Kern County, and that's when I started having to look for a different way to do the outpatient thing, or a doctor or something that can prescribe me my medicine. And that's when I started seeing Dr. Bear.
Okay. So when did you finish your counseling with Groups Recover Together?
Oh, I want to say maybe 7, 8 months ago.
And besides the AA meeting and the counseling, are you receiving any other therapy or treatment that you haven't gone over?
Any more therapy? No, I guess just right now it's just giving back, you know. It's just giving back what's been given to me. But it's like every single meeting that I go to every day is some type of therapy for me. It's free therapy. I have two commitments at AA. I'm sorry. Sometimes I hear feedback on the computer, but I've also taken commitments too. So I'm part of the business meeting on Thursday nights. On Thursdays at 6 o'clock and on Fridays at 5:30. Those are my meetings. So I run those, and I get to kind of speak about what I want to speak about on those meetings.
And are you currently on any prescription opioid medications?
Nope, just the Brixadi shot.
Which is for your which is to curb your opioid dependence.
Yes.
Okay. So Mr. Esther, your last hearing before the board was 2017. And by the time you had done that hearing, you had about a little over 2 years of sobriety under your belt. Since that time, you picked up quite a number of convictions and parole violations. So how can the board be assured that this time you are ready to continue to commit to your sobriety, and that you won't be making similar mistakes in the future. Is there anything that you haven't already gone over that you can share with the board?
Everything that I'm doing right now is what I'm supposed to be doing, and this cannot stop. I can't even go 2 days without a meeting. It's just so important to my recovery, you know, and it's so important to the people that I'm helping in recovery too. So this is a way of life for me now, and I really didn't understand that before. I didn't really, you know, I just thought getting clean was what was the only thing you could do, but I didn't know that there was so much more being involved with it and being a part of it. But honestly, there's not much more that I can do that I'm doing right now. I believe that.
And besides what you've already testified to, have you experienced any other life changes, or have you made any life changes that have helped you stay on course that have been different from your previous time before the board?
Man, it's just, I guess the one thing that I had to change was everything, you know, and that's exactly what I've had to do. I don't have friends anymore, just no more acquaintances. The only friends that I surround myself with today are people that encourage me and people that lift me up. Um, my whole life is my family and my job and my recovery and God, you know, number one of all.
Okay. And if the board were to reinstate your license, are you able and willing to pay back the costs from that first case?
Absolutely.
And if the board were to reinstate your license and you're placed on probation again, are you willing to abide by the terms of that probation?
Absolutely.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Do any of the board members have questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Esser.
Oh,
First of all,
please, your identity.
sorry,
Could you please identify yourself for the court reporter?
yes, apologies. This is Yesenia Anderson. First and foremost, I just want to just celebrate your sobriety and congratulate you on that. And my hope is that you continue down that path. And I also want to thank you for your candor and your transparency. I know that that must have taken a lot to be able to share to that level. So thank you. I only have two really short questions. So in terms of your recovery, can you speak to how you're able to continue to stay on a path of sobriety? I know that you talked about your goals in terms of this reinstatement and even future goals of ownership. Are there, you know, I guess just on an ongoing basis, there can be life stressors, especially when you own a business, when you're an owner and even just a regular full-time employee. What assurances can you make in terms of being able to handle those stressors and then perhaps not relapsing at that point in time?
Well, I guess that's you know, like what I said to her, it's just the recovery part of of me, it can never stop. This is just something that I have to live every single day. I always know that no matter what, that it's always going to be in the back of my mind. And today, I just no matter what I do, I got to play that tape forward, you know. And that used to be a scary thing for me to play that tape forward, because once I would play that tape forward, it was easy for me to imagining throwing everything away again. Um, Samber, I've thrown away everything so many times. I've been married 10 years now, and it literally feels like this is the third year of my marriage. You know, so it's almost like I'm in the honeymoon stage, even with my family again. Um, as far as what else I can do, I don't know what else I can do. All I can know is to keep doing what I'm doing daily. I mean, every day when I get home off work, I lay down for about 15, 20 minutes and it's straight to a meeting every single day. My recovery, if it wasn't for my recovery, and that it has to be the most important thing, because if it wasn't for my recovery, I wouldn't have this job and I wouldn't have my family, you know. So I don't really know how to answer that question. I don't know what kind of answer you're looking for, but this is what I have to do, and it's not something that I can let up on.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I see the meetings that you've attended, and while most of them I think are in the evening time, do you feel that you have the support of your employer should there be, let's say, a more difficult time period where you might have to step away to attend a meeting during the workday? Or do you just feel like you have their support in general to be able to continue your recovery and what is needed to be able to do that?
100%. You know, that's the good thing about my dad. You know, he never really understood any of this, the addiction stuff, and he never really knew what it was like going through what I've been through, you know, and everything. So he's definitely got, he never thought that I was going to be able to accomplish what I've accomplished without having to go away to Teen Challenge for another year or going to prison again. And for him to see what I'm doing with my recovery in AA is just, yeah, he's 100%. I go to meetings at the new time all the time. Anytime I have a chance, even if it's my lunch break, I'll go stop by a new meeting, even if it's for 30 minutes just to catch a meeting. So it's not just in the evenings. I'm available to go to a meeting anytime I can.
Great, thank you.
There's not much idle time that I allow myself these days. That's for sure.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Yeah, thank you.
This is Board Member Finley. Again, congratulations. Love the path that you're headed on. What is the next, I had two questions kind of go together. How does your role change by getting the applicators? And what's like the future game plan look like the next 2 to 5 years with the family business if you get your license back?
Well, I need to get my applicators because it's the only way that I can be in the field with the guys. And it's the only way that I can have the opportunity to train them properly. We hold ourselves to a higher standard over here at Stop Pest, and I've been trained by my dad my whole life, you know, and that's why the reason that his company has grown, has been so successful in the past, is because he holds everybody to a higher standard. He told me, he said, son, even if you don't get your license, he said, we'll just keep on going. We'll go back before the board again. He said, just know that everything will be okay, you know. But but at the same time, it's like, and I sure hope you get your license so you can get out there with these guys, you know, and be a part of that. Because right now I'm not able to apply or do anything. All I can do is just kind of lead the guys in the right direction and kind of show them what they need to do and stuff. And I just need to be available so that I can be in that truck and showing up and being able to help on certain jobs, because we're starting to get really, really busy right now. And they definitely need me in the field.
So it sounds like the role will change quite a bit if you get the applicators. I mean, like for what you're doing now. What about 2 to 5 years from now? Do you have plans? To
Yes.
then get your branch 2, look to get your your operators? Do you have future plans?
Yes, I want to get my applicators back, and I want to get my branch 2 back, and then eventually get my operators, you know, one day. But yeah, that's the plan right now. It's just it's a new company again that we just started, and it's just going full blast and getting this thing built up, you know. At least get 3 or 4 good guys working underneath us, and just going from there. That way all 3 or 4 of us are making, you know, the most money, but also taking care of the customers at the same time.
Thank you so much. No further questions from me.
Good, thank you.
Any
This
further
is,
questions by
excuse
board
me,
members?
Board Member Paxton, Mark Paxton. As the other board members have said, I applaud you for what you've done the last few years, and I hope for your sake and your family's sake that you continue it. I have a question that I think the record shows this, but I just want to confirm that all of your criminal offenses were drug related. Is that
Yes,
accurate?
yes,
No crimes against property or crimes against people?
no.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Any further questions by board members?
This is Board Member Tengen. I'd like to congratulate you. I know sobriety is tough. I have a friend that it's a lifestyle. It's exactly what you described. You know, going to the meetings, it's a commitment, and I applaud you. So keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
I have just a couple of clarifying questions, Mr. Essert. You mentioned that Dr. Beer gives you the monthly shots, and I think you call them Braiati.
Brixadi.
Oh, could you spell that?
I think it's BARAXIDI.
You think it's
It's a
B
pretty
as
new
in
shot
boy?
it's a pretty new shot that's out there. And what's great about it is, so it's really hard. They have a different shot out there too. It's called Sublocade. And it's really, really hard to get on that Sublocade because in order to get on the Sublocade shot, you have to be clean for 2 to 3 weeks before you can even take the shot. And that's why a lot of people that are having problems getting onto it is because people that are taking fentanyl and opiates cannot stay clean for 2 or 3 weeks just to be able to get onto that shot. And this new Brixadi shot, it's set up to where even if you are still using, you can actually take that first shot and go on to it without having to be sick and having precipitated withdrawals. So it's really a miracle thing that they've come up with, and it's fairly new. And I don't know that many people that have really heard about it yet. And I just know that it was one of the greatest things that ever happened for me, being able to do that, because it's hard. It's really tough to get that 2-3 weeks clean initially, just to be able to get on a type of shot.
Okay, and just for our court reporters' benefit, could you spell that again slowly?
Yeah, hold on. Let me get the right spelling for you real quick. Brixadi shot. BRAX. It's BRIXADI.
Okay. Thank you. And the other clarifying question, what is the name of the company where you're currently employed?
Stop and Go Pest Control.
Stop and Go Pest Control. That's your current employer, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions from board members?
Yes, I have one. This is Board Member Mendenhall. Again, congratulations on your journey. It's great to hear. Just to clarify, so in the past, you said you'd been sober for 2.5 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
Then what was the trigger, or what kind of caused you to relapse after 2.5 years of sobriety?
And no recovery. It was like I was walking around kind of being a dry drunk, you know. That's how kind of people refer to it in AA. You can get clean and sober, but if you don't have the tools, if you're not finding the tools to help you with, you know, when things come up in life, that it's just a matter of time before you go to a relapse. So,
Were there any specific kind of circumstances or stressors that caused you to kind of go off that plan because you were doing so well before? What
you know what?
triggered you to go back?
I was doing well, but I just didn't have any recovery at all. I was just staying clean by my own means. That was it. I wasn't doing any kind of meetings. The only sobriety that I had was because of just being locked away from everything. I had never had the recovery that I have today.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any further questions by board members?
No.
Any further questions by the Deputy Attorney General?
No, Your
Okay, do the parties wish to make anything by way of a closing statement?
we would submit your,
Okay, Ms. Lee, you're prepared to submit, and is there anything additional that you want to say, that you would like to say, Mr. Esser?
I don't think so. I just hope you guys and pray you guys give me the opportunity and, you know, to have another victory in my life. Thank you for hearing me today.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Essert. That concludes the petition hearing in this matter. The record is closed, the case is submitted, and we are off the record in this matter. Madam Court Reporter, do you have an estimate as to the number of pages?
Yes, Your Honor. 57,
I'm sorry,
57,
57. And the ending time is,
10:45.
did you say 10:45?
Yes, Your Honor.
10:45. Okay. Again, thank you very much, Mr. Essert. And does the board wish to take another break before the other matter, or how would you wish to proceed, Madam President?
Yes, Your Honor. This is Board President Yesenia Anderson. We would like to take a quick 5-minute break before the next case, please.
Okay, we'll resume then approximately 10:50. To review the petition for reinstatement of Dawn Marie Charette. This matter is being heard before the Structural Pest Control Board by a video conference proceeding. This matter bears Office of Administrative Hearings, case number 2021-060-089. My name is Wilbert Bennett. I am an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I have been assigned to hear this matter. I'm going to ask the court reporter to identify herself for the record by name and CSR number.
Thank you, Your Honor. Policy Chavez, certified shorthand reporter, license number 7943.
Ms. Chavez, and I would ask at the conclusion of this hearing if you could provide us the estimated number of pages and ending time for the hearing. Will all of the board members identify themselves for the record?
This is Board President Yesenia Anderson.
This is Board Member Finley.
Member Mendenhall.
Board Member Mark Paxton.
Board Member Tengen.
Board Member Bindel.
Okay, let the record reflect that a quorum of the board is present. And we are prepared to proceed then with the matter of the petition for reinstatement of Dawn Marie Charette. May I take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General?
Good morning, Your Honor. Deputy Attorney General Stephanie Lee, on behalf of the Office of the Attorney General, appearing pursuant to Government Code Section 11522.
Morning, Ms. Lee. The petitioner, Ms. Charette, you are present, correct?
Good morning, Your
Dawn,
Honor.
please?
Your Honor, this is actually,
here.
Oh, Ms. Charette is represented by counsel, is that correct?
that is correct, Your Honor. This is Attorney
And you are
Scott
Scott
Harris.
Harris?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, and Ms. Charette is present.
I am present, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Charette, even though you're represented by counsel, I want to explain a little bit about this procedure, and I don't know how familiar your counsel might be with it, but just for the record, the procedure is that the Deputy Attorney General will proceed first to present the petition and provide a background orientation in this matter. After that, the petitioner will have an opportunity to make a presentation under oath on her own behalf to explain why she believes that her license should be reinstated. The petitioner may also call witnesses to testify on her behalf. The petitioner and any witnesses will be subject to questioning by both the board members and the Deputy Attorney General. And because counsel is present, the counsel may also be allowed to ask questions. The board is particularly concerned with any rehabilitation that the petitioner may have engaged in since her license discipline. The petitioner is reminded that the board has had the benefit of reading the petition package, so it is not necessary to repeat anything that is included in that package. After the hearings, the board will go into closed session to deliberate. The petitioner will not receive a decision today, but will receive it in the mail sometime in the future. Are there any questions at this point?
I have none, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, none from the petitioner and none from the representative from the Attorney General. So that being said, the appropriate procedure at this point is to request the Deputy Attorney General to provide an orientation and a presentation of the petition package. Ms. Lee, please proceed.
Thank you. Your Honor, before I begin, would it be possible for Ms. Charette to turn on her camera so that the board and everyone can see her?
I've been experiencing the same difficulties you have and the judge has. I was reduced to using my phone for this conference due to the fact I could not get my laptop to camera come into play or the microphone. But I wanted to attend this meeting, so here I took the facility that I could use.
Okay. Board members, are you content to proceed with the telephone? Or do you need to see the respondent, see the petitioner?
I believe
Would
we
you
were
like
able
to
to
see-
see Ms. Charetti maybe a little bit, for a little bit earlier this morning when the moderator was checking us all in. I'm not sure if we can try the same thing.
Yeah, I was able to see you. Right now, all I see is a sign of where we're at. We're on level 4 petition for reinstatement. And that I can hear you and you can hear me. But yes, I did have camera earlier.
Board president wishes to try to see what we can do. I'm not sure exactly how to get the petitioner on camera.
Is the moderator still on here? Is Ms. Tricia,
Yes,
are
the
you able to
moderator.
troubleshoot again?
So I don't have the option to turn on a camera. It may be how she joined the meeting, but I don't have an option to turn on a camera. And she is saying she doesn't see one at the bottom or anywhere on her screen. When I checked her before the meeting began, she had access to the camera and was able to turn it on. So I don't know what changed. I don't know if she logged out and logged back in. I do know that in order to have access to the camera and full functionality, you have to join by application. So not by browser, but you have to download the WebEx software and join through it.
And I did that.
The only thing I could recommend, Dawn, it would be for you to log out and log back in to see if that makes any difference, if people are willing to wait a moment while she tries that.
Could you try that, Ms. Shura?
Yeah, I'll try it on my laptop again. I'm just afraid I'm going to lose the connection.
This is Board Member Anderson. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. We are comfortable proceeding with just audio if you are, Your Honor.
I am. Yes, I am.
Okay, let's go ahead and proceed with just the audio.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay, Ms. Lee, are you there?
Yes, I am, Your Honor, and I could start with the with our opening.
Yeah, please proceed, Ms. Lee.
Yes, Your Honor. So the matter before this board is a petition for reinstatement of Ms. Dawn Churette's operator's license number 9119 in branches 1 and 3. That license was issued in 1993 to Ms. Churette, who was then Dawn Marie DeRolf in branch 1 as an employee of AMBD Incorporated, doing business as D&S. The and is an ampersand. D&S Termite Control in San Diego, California. In 1998, that operator's license was upgraded to include branches 1 and 3. And DNS's license, which is related to this matter, was issued. This was license number PR 1164. That was issued to the company in 1988 in branches 1 and 3. David Paul DeRolf was the qualifying manager in branches 1 and 3. In 2000, DNS had a change of qualifying manager from Mr. DeRolf to Ms. Churette in branches 1 and 3. Branch 1 meaning branch 1 covers the fumigation services. Christopher Parrish, a field representative, license number 23237, also reflected employment with DNS on or around March 1st, 2000, the same time that Ms. Churette became the qualifying manager. In 2004, DNS had a restructuring. Ms. Churette became the president and a 15% shareholder of the company. Mr. DeRolf became the CEO and 70% shareholder, and that company upgraded its license to include branches 1, 2, and 3. In January of 2023, there was a dissociation of the operator's license from David Paul DeRolf in branches 1 and 3. And in May of 2023, that company was downgraded to include only branches 2 and 3. Michael Robert Saunders, who is the VP of the company, is now the qualifying manager of branch 3. And Alan Iniguez, Y-N-I-G-U-E-Z, is the qualifying manager of branch 2. Ms. Churette's operator's license went through a disciplinary action as well as DNS's company license in 2006 when the board originally filed an accusation in case number 2006-57. The board filed a first amended accusation in 2008 and a second amended accusation on January 3rd, 2011. That became the operative pleading in this case. That is also referenced in attachment K in the exhibit book, starting with AGO 341. That board, that board accusation was against Ms. Churette as the president and qualifying manager of DNS, DNS as the company, Christopher Parrish, the field representative, and others related to the company. The basis for that accusation outlined 6 causes for discipline, and the facts underlying that accusation, which were affirmed in a judgment by the Superior Court after a first writ petition. This is referenced in attachment E of the exhibit book, starting on page AGO 153, were as follows. On or around March 7th, 2005, DNS had been hired to perform a fumigation of a 30-unit condo complex in San Diego using Vicane gas, which is a sulfuryl, sulfuryl fluoride gas that is hazardous and can cause death. The company arrived sometime early in the morning, and the facts that were adduced at the hearing before the board included that sometime in the afternoon, the employees discovered a resident within the tarped complex, the resident in Unit 108, Ms. Williams, calling for help from within the tarped structure, and they noticed movement beneath the tarps. They assisted Ms. Williams out from the tarped building. She was transported to a local hospital where she was subsequently pronounced dead from Vicane poisoning. During an inspection 2 days later, on March 9, 2005, inspectors discovered a number of food and medications in Unit 108, as well as other units that should have been removed prior to fumigation. The inspection from March 9th revealed that preparation violations had occurred in at least 20 of the 30 units, and there were also inaccuracies in the fumigation logs that were completed by Christopher Parrish. Additionally, there was evidence that was both found by the board and affirmed in the Superior Court that the evidence weighed in favor of the conclusion that Ms. Williams was in the condominium complex at the time that the fumigation began, that she had fallen asleep before the Vicane was introduced into the tarped building and had been overlooked during the pre-fumigation inspection. The disposition from that accusation case occurred on January 26, 2012. That was the date of the board's decision. They put DNS, the company, on 3 years probation with 150-day suspension. Ms. Chiretti's license was revoked. Mr. Parrish's license was also revoked, at least during that original decision. And there were costs that were ordered in the amount of $100,000. Ms. Chiretti filed a first written petition soon thereafter on January 23rd, 2012. After that writ petition was litigated, the Superior Court judge overseeing the writ petition issued an order in judgment on January 25th, 2012, on September 30th, 2012. That first writ petition affirmed all of the factual findings that the board had found in its original decision, with the exception of one narrow issue. The writ judgment found that the weight of the evidence did not establish that the petitioners were grossly negligent in their search of the premises. But as to all other areas, including the failure to comply with the removal of food and medications, the petitioners were grossly negligent, and the Superior Court judge further found that this was not an isolated instance. Upon that decision, the Superior Court remanded the case back to the board for reconsideration for the limited purpose of deciding if that gross negligence finding was removed, what basically the board has to reweigh the penalty and decide again what the penalty should be for this case. So the board did so, and the decision upon remand, effective June 12, 2013, that's attachment D in the exhibit book, starting on AGO 137, found again that DNS should be placed on probation for 3 years. That did not change. Ms. Chiretti's license remained revoked. That did not change. Mr. Parrish's field representative's license, the penalty did change, and he was placed on 3 years of probation instead of having it revoked completely. Mr. Peter Toretti's license was also placed on 3 years probation. The cost recovered remained $100,000. Ms. Tourette, filed a second writ petition to challenge that new board decision that was dated June 7th, 2013. That's attachment C in the exhibit book starting on AGO 123. That that writ was denied and the Superior Court issued a judgment dated March 12th, 2014. That's an attachment B of the exhibit book starting on AGO 111. Subsequent to that second writ petition being denied, there was a petition for modification that became effective January 11th, 2015. It was granted for DNS who had their suspension of 150 days reduced to 105 days. And they were also given the option in lieu of 45 of those days, they could pay a civil penalty of $10,000. Subsequent to this, Ms. Tourette, on her own operator's license after it was revoked, filed 5 petitions for reinstatement, which occurred and were denied in 2015, 2016, 2018, 2019, and 2021. And Your Honor, at this time, I can move on and introduce the exhibit book if the court will allow me.
Thank you. Ms. Lee, does the petitioner have any objection to the introduction of the petition package into evidence?
I do not.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, the petition package is admitted into evidence. I note that it is identified in Case Center as Exhibit A, so it will be admitted as Exhibit A. At this point, I would turn things over to the petitioner, and the petitioner is represented by counsel in this matter. So I would ask how you wish to proceed in representing the petitioner in this matter.
Your Honor, may I just make one clarification? I apologize for
Yes.
interrupting. I believe we have it marked. We have our exhibit book marked as Exhibit 1 under Section A, which is Attorney General evidence. So I believe our exhibit book is actually Exhibit 1.
Okay, so let's. I want to keep the original designation so there's no confusion. So instead of marking it as exhibit or admitting it as Exhibit A, I will admit it as Exhibit 1.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So the petition package is admitted as Exhibit 1. And at this point, Counsel Harris, how do you wish to proceed?
Yes, Judge Bennett, thank you and good morning. And to the members of the board, if I may make a very brief opening statement, followed by marking the 2 exhibits, Exhibits A and B, and then following questions, that would be what I would prefer. But obviously would like to defer to the board's questions if they would like to trump me in doing so.
No, do the board members wish? Do the board members wish to allow counsel to make an opening statement, or do you wish to proceed directly with the petitioner's testimony?
This is Board Member Anderson. He can go ahead, Counsel Harris. Please proceed in your opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honor, once again.
Proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor, once again, and thank you, President Anderson, and again, members of the board. Ms. Charette comes before you with an extraordinary amount of humility. She has been before you now the 6th time. 5 times prior, she has sought reinstatement of her operator's license to no avail. It has now been 20 years since the tragic underlying incident that occurred that ended in the loss of a life. And it has now been almost 15 years since the underlying discipline that resulted in the revocation of Ms. Charrette's ability to be an operator within your business. In that time, the business DNS, which has operated within her family, continues to do business and continues to be licensed. And you will hear today, continues to be licensed without any issues before this board or within the industry. But of course, we're here today because of Ms. Charrette. And in addition to the time that has elapsed, Ms. Charrette has taken the last 4 years since your last denial of her petition to reflect on what the board's primary concerns had been. Primarily, first, you're going to hear from Ms. Charrette in her testimony that she has a different perspective about what her role was or was not in the underlying incident, that she has insight and judgment to understand her failures and to process what has occurred in her past as an operator now 20 years ago. You'll also hear from Ms. Charrette about her changed involvement in DNS. The board, in its previous petition denials, expressing concerns that she was running a business that looked like she might have been running it without a license. And you're going to hear about the changes that have occurred since. And most importantly, third, you're going to hear about her ongoing efforts to be a member of the community and to demonstrate rehabilitation through the various means of education, involvement in the industry to the extent possible, and in her own change of attitude and mindset. We would hope at the end of this proceeding that the board will make a decision to reinstate her operator's license. And Ms. Charrette, as she will testify and you will hear, is open to doing whatever it takes to show the board that she deserves that reinstated license through any type of probationary period. If you don't have any questions at this time, I can proceed by going forward with questions for Ms. Charrette and with our two evidentiary exhibits, exhibits A and B.
Board members have any questions at this point? I'm going to ask Councilor Harris to proceed.
No questions at this time, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. And I will then ask Mr. Harris to proceed with the presentation of petitioner's case.
Yes, Your Honor. For just simply administrative purposes, I believe in front of you under petitioner's evidence in case lines, there are exhibits A and B. I would like to mark for identification exhibit B as what I would represent to be character references, and exhibit B to be marked as a branch 1 closure document that will be discussed by Ms. Charrette.
Any objection, counsel? Well, actually, this is not a, do you have a reaction, Ms. Lee?
I don't plan to object to either exhibit, Your Honor, when we get to that.
Okay. Exhibits A and B as identified by counsel will be admitted into evidence. Exhibit A consisting of what I believe are 4 character reference letters, and Exhibit B consisting of various documents, most of which are related to branch 1 closure, I believe. So we'll just conveniently refer to those as branch 1 closure documents and related documents. Okay,
you, Your
please
Honor.
proceed, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the petitioner would call herself as a witness. Ms. Charrette would like to testify, please.
Okay, Ms.
Yes.
Charrette, please, I know I can't see you, but virtually, if you wish, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that your testimony in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, please proceed, counsel.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Good morning, Don. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, Scott.
And I know you've been before the board before, but there may be new members since your last appearance. So I'm going to ask some background information for their information. Can you please tell us how old are you?
I'm 60 years old.
And what is your family status? Are you married?
I am married, have been to the same man for 36 years.
And is your husband also within the structural pest control industry?
He is retired at this time.
Okay. But he has been in the past. Is that the case?
That is correct.
Okay. And do you have any children?
I do. I have 3 beautiful children.
And how old are they?
I've got a set of twins that are 25, and I have an older son that is now 41.
Excellent. And are any of your 3 children involved in the industry as well?
No, they are not.
Okay. Do they all know that you're here today?
Yes, they do.
And do they all know about your past history before the board and the loss of licensure that occurred?
Very much so. It affected their lives adversely, due to the fact that it was such an emotional event for me at that time. So it did affect their lives as well.
Understood. Now, let me ask this. How did you first get into the pest control business?
My parents started the business in their house in La Mesa. And when I was 5 and 6 years old, my mom would let me do some filing for her. So basically, I've been in this industry since I was 5 years old. When I turned 16, I started working on the fumigation crew for my father. I then got my license, was active in the field, upgraded into an operator, took over the company, and from there, we've been plugging along for over 54 years.
Very good. And when were you first licensed as an operator within Branch 1?
Branch 1 operator, I believe that was in 1993.
Okay. And do you recall when you were first licensed under Branch 3?
It was much later. It was in like 2001.
Okay. And prior to 2005, had you had any prior disciplinary history with the board?
No.
And I referenced 2005 because that is when the underlying incident that led to your revocation occurred. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
Can you briefly, we've heard from Ms. Lee in her presentation, but as someone involved in that incident, can you tell us from your perspective what occurred?
We took on a very large job site. We were a growing company at the time, and I made some bad decisions. I made the choice of not bagging food, not properly taking care of that fumigation. And I don't feel it was about money. It was about, I was dealing with 30 different families and I had a strict timeline. And I used poor judgment and said it was okay, we'll just take care of the food when we take the tarps down, because there's that reentry time. And it was just a bad choice.
And what else happened with that incident?
I lost my license. I've had to restructure my activities within the company and out in the field and everything. It's been a life-changing event.
Because this case involves the loss of a consumer, of a fellow citizen, there needs to be some discussion because the board is concerned about how your poor judgments may have contributed to that loss of life. Can you tell us more about that part of the incident?
I think my rushing through and making the poor decisions of not making a thorough clearing of the structure. It may have contributed to the death of Linda Williams.
And has it been difficult over the years for you to process that someone lost their life as a result of your business activities?
Yes, it has been. In the very beginning, there was that mindset of mine of she was not in the building, she entered after. Over the last 4 years, I've spent a lot of time with my grandkids, and I've had time to reflect further back on, you know what, maybe she was in there. I can't say with clear confidence that I know she was, and I can't say that she wasn't. And I understand that it caused the death of Linda Williams. And it's been very difficult to deal with. A year after the incident, I was in counseling, and trying to figure out how this all happened and how I could have changed things. And it all comes down to my decisions.
In the past, the board has suggested that you were attempting in your prior petition hearings to relitigate, meaning to re-argue what occurred. As you sit here today, do you have a different perspective?
Most definitely. Now it's a perspective of, you know what, I'm here to prove that I've been doing rehabilitation since the very beginning of this. The last 4 years, I'll be honest, I haven't done a lot of education within the industry. Honestly, I'd rather spend the time with my grandkids than go to a class. So I don't have any newer certificates or anything of that nature. I'm here to prove that I have foregone a lot of my time in my life to rehabilitate. And I'm not here to bring up what happened or my position there at that time. It's all about, I do believe I'm completely rehabilitated. My choices within the business are very limited, but they're a lot more thoughtful. I don't harshly make decisions. I really think things out now instead of saying, well, let's just get it done.
If I can return back to the idea of your changed kind of mental perspective, in the 4 years since your last denial, have you accepted responsibility for the incidents in a different way?
Much different. I recognize the actions that I took were against the law, number one. Not bagging the food, not vacating the structure, and it led to the demise and the death of Linda Williams. Believe me, not a day goes by I don't think about this woman in that incident.
Have you in the past had trouble talking about the incident?
Yes, I have.
Why is that?
First, there was denial. Then there went anger. Then it's come down to a point of I have now matured enough to actually see through things, not really see through them, but look at them from a different perspective.
And if you could go back to 2005, prior to the fumigation that led to this incident and loss of life, what would you do differently?
Oh, a lot. If I had the hindsight of everything, I would have made it take us a lot longer to do that fumigation. And maybe if I did do that, maybe she would have woke up and came out, or we could have stopped her from going in. But I chose to hastily perform that fumigation, and I take full responsibility for it. I can't blame anybody else.
Okay, very good. I appreciate that. Now let me ask you about DNS. Is it still in operation?
Yes, it is.
And what is your ownership of DNS?
Well, at this time, I own most of it. My father passed away, and I was given all the stock. I own, I would say about 68%, if not more.
I'm sorry for your loss, and thank you for your response. In the past, do you recall the board having concerns that you were running the business as an operator, even though you weren't licensed as such?
Yes, there was concern for that, but I do not perform any licensing duties. My duties here within the company are pay the bills, HR, make sure everybody's got their education. It's more of an administrative position than anything. I have operators to make those decisions, and I do speak to them frequently in regards to, look, make sure those decisions are safe. We've had some incidents where, products we should that aren't best for a situation. My operator is wise enough to say, okay, look, this product is not what we want it to do, and we've stopped using those products. Mike Saunders, who also holds a branch 1 operator, he oversees all my termite, making sure the treatments are done properly, they're done safely, that the guys are wearing their PPEs. So my position here is basically administrative.
And do you rely upon other responsible qualifying managers to run the day-to-day parts of the business that require a license?
Yes.
And who are they again?
That is Mike Saunders and Alan Yanez. I don't know how to say his name.
That's okay. How many employees does DNS have?
Right now, we are at a 19.
Okay. And since DNS was disciplined as a result of this incident back in 2000, I believe 12, has there been any issues before the board?
No.
At this time, since your last hearing, since your last hearing 4 years ago, has DNS changed the branches within which it operates?
Yes, we have.
How has that changed?
We have closed our fumigation department.
And does that mean you no longer have a branch 1 department?
That is correct.
And does that also mean that in theory, you don't need your branch 1 license?
No, I do not. I never plan on getting back into fumigation again.
Can you tell the board a little bit about what changed, the decisions to have a branch 1 license for DNS and why you just said you don't want to go into fumigation again?
We find it, I personally find it hard to find good labor. And all the licenses and the regulations and everything, it's just easier to find a good fumigation company and have them perform the fumigation.
Okay. Why do you want your operator's license back, presumably for branch 3?
Because my operator, who has been with our company for 49 years, he would like to retire. And for a branch 3 operator, they have to be active within the company. And that's just not possible when you want to retire.
And if you are granted your branch 3 operator license again, is it your intent to take over the management of the branch 3 division?
Yes.
And what can you tell the board as you sit here today as to why you have the sound judgment and competency to run a branch 3 department?
I've done it in the past. And I've been doing it my whole life, not as an operator, but I do know the ins and outs of the industry, and I know how to treat people. I've got stable employees we've had on board I've got one for 49 years. I've got another one. He's been on board for 32 years now, and I'm not related to these two gentlemen.
Okay. As we come towards the end of our question and answer here, I'd like to kind of move on about what has changed in you since 2005 with respect to what we'll call the rehabilitation. I believe you earlier testified that you participated in counseling. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And for how long did you participate in counseling?
It was just a little over a year.
And briefly summarize, what did you take away? What was the benefit of that therapy or counseling?
It gave me a different perspective, somebody to really open up to in regards to this incident, as well as other issues in my life. And it made me more self-aware.
Okay. And as you, over the last 15 years or so, have you received any awards or recognitions within the community?
Yes, I have. I was Parent of the Year in San Diego and Imperial County, and that's a lot of space. I've gotten accolades from the staff at both my children's elementary school, their middle school, and their high school. Other than that.
And in what year did you receive the Parent of the Year award for San Diego and Kern counties?
I do believe that was in 2012.
Okay. And have you had any other types of recognitions, after 2012?
Yes.
And what
I didn't get an award or a plaque or anything, but yeah, I was PTA president. I was given accolades for my performance there and everything.
And in what years were you, I'm sorry to interrupt, Don, in what years were you the PTA president?
That was 2012, 12 and 13.
Okay. And is it fair to say that since the loss of your license, you've been very involved in raising your children and in their schooling?
Yes.
And is there anything that you have done with your children in terms of community volunteering that you'd like to share with the board?
Yeah. And I'm now actively getting my grandchildren to help as well. About every other month, sometimes every month, we'll get together, make a bunch of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and an apple and a bottle of water, put them in a brown bag, and we'll go to the neighborhoods where I know there's homeless so that they can have a square meal of some sort and at least a bottle of water. I've been doing this for probably 15 years. My oldest grandson is now 10, and he comes along as well. The other ones are a little too young, so we don't take them out. But it's giving something to people that are having a hard time.
Very good. I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
You testified earlier that you have not, in the last 4 years, been going to classes for continuing education as much. Is that correctly stated?
That is correct.
Since the loss of your license, though, have you attended any type of educational programs related to structural pest control?
Yes, I have.
Can you estimate how many courses you've gone to over the last now almost 15 years?
I'm holding a manila folder that's probably an inch and a half thick, and it's full of certificates and everything.
Okay.
So I'm going to say there's a good 100 of them in here.
Okay. And you've in the past had trouble getting the official certificates. Is that correct? Because you're unlicensed?
That is correct.
Okay. And so, but nevertheless, you've continued to attend these programs.
Yes, with humiliation.
And over the last 4 years, how have you attempted to stay on top of the laws and regulations and any changes to business practices within the industry?
The Structural Pest Control Board's website, as well as I get literature and everything else.
And you still actively involve yourself in reviewing that literature and those things?
Yes, I do.
I
think it's very important to stay up on what's new and what the new laws are.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to discuss your experience in this incident and the loss of your license and your appearance before the board with other members of the community?
I have.
And have you found a way to use your experience as a teaching moment?
With my own employees as well as other industry members, I tell them, look, I know we're all here to make money, but we got to take that extra time to be sure things are going to be safe for our consumer.
What can you tell the board as to why it should grant your petition this sixth time to give you a reinstated license, potentially on a probationary level?
I'm a changed person. I think things through more nowadays than I did back then. I employ 19, 20 people, and I'm about to lose my operator for my branch 3. So it would be devastating to my 20 employees to lose their positions within the company.
Is there anything else that you want the board to know in support of your request to them to reinstate your license?
Like I said, I'm a changed person. It's been several years. I've definitely learned a lot about myself as well as the industry since then. And I do not believe I would be a harm to any public person or place. I'm not a bad person. I have no criminal events in my past. And we're quite astute about following the rules and the regulations.
Very good. At this time, Don, I don't have any further questions, but I'm guessing that Deputy Attorney General Lee will, and as well as the board members. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Ms. Charette, I have just a clarifying question. The Parent of the Year award was for San Diego and Imperial counties, or was there Kern County involved?
Imperial County.
So San Diego and Imperial counties, and that was in
That's correct.
2012, correct?
It's either 12 or 13.
PTA president was in 2012 and 13, or you're not
Yes,
sure
that
which?
too.
It was sometime during that 2-year time frame that you received all those awards, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, I would turn it over at this point. Oh, one clarifying question, council. Um, Your Exhibit A consists of 4 letters, and one of them is a character statement that is not named, and the author is not named. It's a 2-page typed statement.
Yes, Your Honor, I apologize. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I had intended actually to ask Ms. Charette that question, and I inadvertently missed that question in my notes. If I may ask Ms. Charette to recall the letters that are in Exhibit A from various individuals, do you recall a character statement for Don Charette that's unsigned?
That is from Peter Charette, my son.
Okay.
And is he one of the twins, or is he?
No, he's one of my twins. He's in the military.
Okay, so Peter Charette, and
Yes.
who's your other twin?
The other twin is Michelle Charette.
Okay, and then the other one is Donovan, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that.
I appreciate that, Your Honor.
Okay, I would at this point ask if the Deputy Attorney General has questions.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Good morning, Ms. Charette.
Good morning.
Let's start with, do you provide any financial support for any of your children or anyone outside of you and your husband?
Yeah, I do. My kids and my grandchildren. I currently pay for my granddaughter's preschool. Every now and then, my oldest son gets in a financial bind, and I will send him money.
And has your entire structural pest control work history and experience, has it always been with the same company, DNS?
No, I worked for Diamond Termite, and I also worked for I can't remember the name. It was a fumigation company.
When did you work for Diamond Termite?
Let's see. I think it was 2008.
And in what capacity?
Secretarial. I also performed branch 1 duties.
Okay. And currently, are you still the president of DNS?
Yes, I am.
Do you still, one of the concerns last time from your last petition hearing was that you had mentioned that you go out to sites, although you advise the consumers that you were not licensed when you do go out to the sites. Do you still do that today?
No, I don't. I haven't done that for several years.
And so just so we are clear about your request is to have your operator's license reinstated only in branch 3. Is that right?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'd like to keep my number. And if I can just get my branch 3 with the same operator number, then yes, that'll be very suitable for me.
Okay.
I have
In
no
other words,
intention. Yeah.
go ahead.
I have no intention of doing fumigation.
Okay. And is it true that DNS has been in operation throughout all this disciplinary litigation, during and after? Is that right?
That is correct.
And up until January of 2023, DNS was operating in all branches, 1, 2, and 3. Is that right?
That is correct.
And in January of 2023, was it your father? Is David Deeroff your father?
Yes, he is.
And so with the passing of your father in January 2023, he was dissociated as the qualifying manager of branches 1 and 3. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So currently, as of January of 2023, you are only in operation in branch 2 under Alan Iniguez as the qualifying manager. Is that right?
That is correct.
And then also branch 3 under Michael Saunders as the qualifying manager. Is that right?
That is correct.
And Michael Saunders is the gentleman who would like to retire. That's where your operational need comes in for your license.
That is correct.
Okay. Now, do you have any plans? So assuming that your license gets reinstated, do you have any plans for DNS to resume branch 1 fumigation services in the future?
None whatsoever.
So when you wound down the fumigation services starting in 2023, that was it. You have no intention of reviving that.
That's correct. Mike Saunders holds a branch 1 operator as well.
What is the relevance of Mr. Saunders having a branch 1?
I could have continued on with my fumigation department under his licensing.
I see. He has a branch 1, but you've in the past couple of years, you've chosen not to have him designated as the qualifying manager for branch 1.
That's correct. We chose a more of a business decision to go ahead and close the department. We've sold a ton of our equipment, all of our fans, our clips, our trucks, our trailers. I don't have the means to open a fumigation department.
Okay. Are you aware that your company website still advertises for fumigation services? Is that something that you're aware of?
We don't, we offer fumigations, but we don't have, I had all my advertising changed to, it used to say in-house fumigations, but I changed it to fumigations.
I see. So you've now made the distinction on your advertising that you are no longer doing those yourself by removing the words in-house.
Exactly.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier that your company now subcontracts out the branch 1 work. Is that right?
That is correct.
How do you vet your subcontractors in the branch 1 work? Is there any sort of vetting process that you do as in your role?
I apologize. I don't know what you mean.
When you pick the people that you want to work with to do the branch 1 work, how do you pick them?
That's what I thought you meant. But honestly, I picked up the phone. I called the Department of Agriculture and asked them, tell me which company out of these here that are available for me to use have the least amount of citations. And that's how I made my decision.
And does the Department of Agriculture provide you some information in response to that question?
They answered my questions. Yeah, it took them a couple days to get back to me, but I did not get anything in writing.
Okay. And the branch 1 subcontractors you work with now, do you work with the same people or does it vary?
I use 2 different companies.
And approximately how many branch 1 projects have you subcontracted in total with these 2 companies since you've hired them?
Oh. Well into the high hundreds. ever since we've closed our department.
Is that comparable to the volume that your company had handled in-house before you shut down your branch one?
Well, the market's a lot different now, so it's really hard to compare. I think we're right in the same flow.
In other words, have you experienced a financial dip since outsourcing your branch one work? Specifically in the branch one projects
Yeah,
that you were doing previously.
It's nothing really significant. It's something we've absorbed. We've repositioned things so that our prices don't have to go through the roof for my inspectors to make their good commission. So there's been a little bit of loss, and I think it's more of the economy more than us not performing what we used to.
Okay. Now, your husband is Peter Tourette.
Yes, he is.
Okay. I think your husband shares the same name as your son. Is that right? Just to clarify.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So your husband, Peter, is he licensed with the board, and does he work for DNS?
He is licensed with the board as a branch one field rep. He still kind of works for the company. He'll go out and go to our more pickier clients and help them prepare for fumigation. He will go out and seal up conduits that connect structures. Other than that, he's really not that much involved.
Has your husband ever applied for an operator's license in branch one or in any branch?
No.
Does he have any wish to do so if for whatever reason your license is not reinstated?
No.
With regards to your continuing education, you have some documentation, you have some paper documentation that you've attended CE courses. Is that what you said earlier?
I do from the past, not recently. And they're sporadic because it was very difficult to get them to issue me a certificate without a license.
Okay. And when was the last CE course or training that you've attended?
Okay. I've gone to PCOC meetings, things of that nature. I've had in-house training, and my distributor won't even give me a certificate.
So when was the last continuing education course you've done?
The last one I did was in January of last year.
2024. And what was it, a continuing education course?
It was safety meeting, or it was a safety course.
It was a safety course or a safety meeting?
It was a course.
Okay. And who was the trainer or provider of that course?
That would be Gabriel from Viserys.
From where?
Viserys.
I'm not understanding that.
Pardon me, could you spell that name for the court reporter?
It is B-E. Oh, hang on one second. I don't know that. There we go. There we go. It is V-E-S, like in Sam, E-R-I-S.
And is it B like boy or V like Victor?
V like Victor.
Thank you.
And was that in person or online?
In person.
And what was the nature of that safety course? What branch did it cover? What was the main topic?
It was branches 2 and 3. It was new pesticides that are come out, as well as all kinds of different products. But most important was personal protective equipment on how to properly use it. We did fit testing and everything. He also went over excuse me, the safety of the industry and where it's going.
And the documentation of your prior trainings that you keep in a file, what kind of documentation are we talking about? I know you're saying that it's hard to get a official certificate. So what does that documentation consist of that you do have?
Well, I went to an HR manager's course. I did a BASF biology and control of bed bugs. I
Sorry,
did
I
the
think let me ask you a different a clarifying question.
Sure.
I meant, like, is the documentation like enrollment emails where you've taken a test and passed, or what kind of documentation do you have?
their certificates.
Okay. Was there a reason why you didn't provide those to the board to review?
I haven't passed.
You have not passed?
No, I have submitted them in the past.
Okay, so everything you have, you've already provided before. There's nothing new.
That is correct.
Okay, I understand. Did you ask, so 3 of the 4 letters are from your children. The 4th one is from a woman named Amanda, right?
Yes.
And she described your relationship, but how did you come to know her? She mentioned that she had initially worked for you.
Yes, she was my nanny.
Okay. Does she know you in your capacity as a operator or through your work at DNS?
She has been here several times and has watched me work, watched me deal with things. She is familiar with it. My daycare was held right here on site. I not only had my children in that, what I called a daycare, I had employees' children being watched by my nanny as well at no charge.
So Amanda was the daycare nanny of all of your employees' children, including your own.
The ones that had children that weren't in school yet, yes.
Okay. Did you ask for any letters or ask for anybody to testify on your behalf who know you primarily through your structural pest control work?
No.
And was there a reason why you did not seek any letters or testimony from such people?
Honestly, I didn't think about it, and it's really hard for me to go to my peers and have to relive this whole thing again.
You mentioned a lot of the community service work that you do. Do you have any sort of record or newspaper clippings or any documentation to show the work that you've been doing?
No, I don't look for that when I'm doing things. I do have another letter here that was not submitted because it came in late last night. It's from Nadine Bennett. She was she's a retired superintendent of Humboldt School District, and she's also current president for a foundation called Humboldt Lozera Schools that I am active with and do contribute to.
What do you do for that organization?
Okay. For Halloween, I'll go to either the elementary school. It is the elementary. Anyway, and help them get things set up for their Halloween fair.
And in the last petition hearing, the board had, one of the things that the board had noted and had some concerns about was that you had presented only quote unquote sparse rehabilitation evidence. Do you believe that you've made sufficient efforts today to present proof of your rehabilitation for this hearing, whether it's documentation or testimony?
I can testify that I've gone through some courses, but I have no certificates.
Now, one of the other concerns from the board from the last petition hearing was that you had, this is a quote from the board's petition hearing starting on AGO 27. Despite superficially professing to accept responsibility, petitioner remains defensive and continues to attempt to relitigate prior factual findings in this case. And then the board, in that prior decision, also mentioned some of the factual findings that you were disputing. So I'd like to go over some of those specific factual findings and what your thoughts are about your position today. The board initially, the board said that you believe that the case was not investigated properly and thoroughly by the board or the Department of Agriculture or the police department. You have yet to be shown any evidence that the deceased resident was in her condominium at the time the fumigation started. So let's start with those two things. Do you still believe that the case was not investigated properly by the appropriate authorities, law enforcement, or the board or the Department of Agriculture?
I believe everybody did their jobs to the best of their abilities, and they've come to the conclusion that I was responsible for this happening, and I accept that.
Okay. And then that second finding that you had disputed last time, do you still believe that you have not been shown any evidence that Ms. Williams was in her condo at the time the fumigation started?
On my recollection, I was never presented evidence, but it's there. It has to be.
Okay. And some of that evidence would have included, evidence of her clothing, spontaneous statements that she had made in a 911 that were captured in a 911 call. Does that sort of help you refresh your memory as to the type of evidence that was presented?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And do you feel any responsibility sitting here today for your part in the death of Miss Williams, the resident in Unit 108?
Yeah, I do.
And in what way would you feel responsibility?
Because I neglected to take the time and the care to perform my job properly.
And so there were different aspects of the job, one being the bagging of the food prior to fumigation, and then another being, making sure that the premises were vacated. So which of these aspects that were discussed in this case do you believe fell on your shoulders ultimately?
Ultimately, both.
Okay. One of the other things that you had disputed in the last petition hearing, the board quoted, petitioner also disagrees with the Superior Court's observations that she had been, quote unquote, cutting corners to save time and money because Ms. Shred believe that safety has always been a paramount concern for her and DNS. So what I'm hearing from your testimony today is that you did cut corners, but it was not necessarily to save money. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say.
Okay. What do you think motivated the quote unquote cutting of corners for this particular project?
I was dealing with 30 families, and for us to go through the 20 units to bag all that food would have delayed that fumigation by a day. And these people were already displaced for 2 days, and I didn't need to displace them another day. That was my main concern on that.
Okay. And while you're not doing fumigations now, how would you have handled that situation differently if you were faced with it today?
I would definitely displace the people another day.
Was it in your contract that you would complete that in a day?
It's on my fumigation notices, which is not a contract. My contract is not date sensitive.
Okay. What has inspired, do you think, these changes in your perspective? You mentioned a little bit about stepping back from the like you're stepping back from the company, spending more time with your grandchildren. Is there anything else that you believe has inspired this change?
A lot of time and emotion going through this again. It's changed my perspective. I've slowed down in life. I'm now 60. I've got 6 grandkids, and I enjoy spending time with them, but I also enjoy coming to work.
And if you were to have your license reinstated, how would you strike that work-life balance?
Right now, I'm doing it limited. I try to take a week off per month to spend time with my grandkids.
And would that change if you were to become the branch 3 manager?
I don't think so. It only takes me out of the position for a week.
And how can the board be assured, so besides what you've already testified to, is there anything else that you can provide to the board to assure that this kind of incident will not happen again under your watch?
I'm no longer performing fumigations, number one. Number two, I choose my fumigators carefully. I have Peter go out to job sites to make sure they're doing things safe. I know that if they get a notice of violation, so do I. So we're very concerned about who's doing our fumigations.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Thank you, Ms. Charette.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Ms. Charette, I just have a clarifying question. Perhaps you could enlighten me. You mentioned that you haven't been doing fumigations since January of this year, or is that 2024?
2023, I believe.
Okay. Okay, so you haven't been doing fumigations since January of 2023. But
Correct.
you still advertise fumigations, but not in-home fumigations. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So as I understand it, you subcontract your fumigation work to Branch 1 licensees?
That is correct.
When you do that, who let's suppose you do it for a homeowner. Is the homeowner contracting with you or with the subcontractor?
With me, and I subcontracted out. They're well aware of it.
So the homeowner would look to you as the responsible party?
Correct. We are the termite, the branch 3 position to, excuse me, to identify the infestation and make the recommendations to eradicate it.
So do you take the position then that even though you no longer are licensed in branch 3, you are still responsible for, I'm not no longer licensed in branch 1, you still assume responsibility for the branch 1 work done by your subcontractor?
I accept the responsibility because I chose them to do it.
Okay. I have no further questions. Board members, questions?
Thank you, Ms. Charette. This is Board Member Anderson. I don't have any questions, but I appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
This is Board Member Finley. I actually heard your case and I think it was October 2020. So I love the attitude change on being the responsible party at the end of the day on the incident. So I wanted to commend you on that. The question I have, Mike Saunders is the branch 3 operator right now. What is he full-time? What's his role there right now on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, he's full time. He comes in every day. He does inspections. He makes sure that the the treatment department is doing their job and have the right products and the right safety equipment.
Okay, so with his retirement, you want to hold the branch 3 operators. Will that role be filled, like his absence? Who's going to fill that role in his absence of, being the guy being the person day to day overseeing the branch 3 employees?
I would be overseeing the branch 3 employees, and for his position, we are right now training an existing employee to get his branch 3 field rep.
Okay, so out of the 19 employees, there's none have their field rep branch 3?
Yes, I have one other, or no, I have two others. I have Randy Witzel and Randy Kroc.
Okay, and they are the ones performing the inspection.
Correct.
Okay, with the other 15 to 17 employees, what are their responsibilities?
They run my repair crews, and I have a pest control department.
Okay. Let's see, probation, the main work, any board complaints in the last 10 years? Have you had any board complaints or incidents that you can share with us?
No, I have not.
Okay. No other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Board Member Tengen. I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
You stated in your testimony for your business practices that you'd be more thoughtful versus getting it done. Can you please give a few?
Well, I'll use this incident as an example. Nowadays, I would approach it completely differently. I'd be much more thorough with everything that I do. I'm keeping safety the utmost priority of the job. Probably eliminating the whole idea of the 30 people and their families, and figuring out how I could help them stay out that extra day.
Thank you. Another question was, That big job, was that your first company's big job?
No, it was not.
And another question was, you stated that, um, as a qualifying manager, you should be accountable 24/7, correct?
That is correct.
And you stated that you take a week off and would you like to continue that statement?
Oh, spend it with my grandchildren.
You do realize you need to be on call, right?
Yes.
Thank you. I don't have any more questions.
Any further questions by board members?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Harris, do you have any questions?
Yes, Your Honor. I have one follow-up to your inquiry, actually, of Ms. Charette. Ms. Charette, you testified, I believe, before that you don't do fumigation in-house. I'm going to put quotes between the term in-house. You did not mean by that that fumigations aren't done in homes, but rather that you don't do them through your business any longer, correct?
We, as a company, do not provide that service. We just facilitate it with a subcontractor.
Okay, very good. And you don't have an interest in returning to providing fumigation services of any kind under a branch 1 license. Is that clear?
That is clear.
Okay, thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions from the Deputy Attorney General?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, thank you all very much for your courtesy and cooperation in this matter. There being nothing further to be resolved within the four corners of the petition hearing, this concludes the petition hearing in this matter. The record is closed, the case is submitted, and we're off the record in this matter as soon as the court reporter advises us of the estimated number of pages and the ending time for the hearing.
I have 12:23, Your Honor, for the ending time. And 75 pages.
Okay, thank you very much. As I say, the record is closed, the case is submitted, and we're off the record. And the board meeting, or the board will be meeting in closed session. So thank you, everyone, for your courtesy and cooperation.
Thank you for your time, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you to the
Thank you,
board
everybody.
members. Unless
Thanks to
we
everybody.
meet after closed session, I'll be signing off, but I can be back if needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. We will move on to our agenda item 5 and 6, which is to adjourn to a closed session. So pursuant to Government Code Section 11126 subdivisions A1 and C3, the board will meet in closed session for discussion and to take action on disciplinary matters, including the petitions, and will conduct the annual performance evaluation and consider the salary of its executive officer. After the conclusion of closed session, the meeting will return to open session.